Okay, hello everybody. My name is Louis Bodemon. I'm a producer. I'm here with a festival, how do you say that? Specialist, expert?
Maybe, yeah, something like that.
And with another producer. So I will, you want to start? Maybe. Maybe, yeah. The topic today, it's like how to produce in a to access the international market in post-COVID time. So everybody, the filmmakers all over the world have experienced this very difficult time, and of course it also influenced documentary filmmaking for many, many reasons. But it was also a period where anybody could find some new way of showing films, of producing films, or trying to find new way even of creating new storytellings. So I think I can talk about my experience during this time. So at the beginning of the lockdown, we decided to go fully on internet. So at first it was with a fiction movie, and we decided to create a website where people all over the world could just like experience a new way of watching video material. And we did it with maybe can you show the first website? The Screen Talk one. Because having internet all over our life and everything is something that we cannot avoid. It's something that we need to use. Now there is new generations that are using TikTok and are like experiencing everything through digital things. So yeah, you can click on Start Game. So yeah, it's a bit funny. It's made with an artist from France, and doing this, we managed to have a lot of like people. You can just put any nickname you want. Yeah, here, and just start game. Yeah, P it's okay. Yeah, Pshalv. The other thing that was interesting is that doing that we managed just to have any partnership we wanted. So we just asked museums, we asked even a pharmacy in south of France that put some money in it, Apteca, and we did that because everything was closed, to just find new viewers. So the film was something old that have been shot in 2014, but we managed to do some kind of video games around that, and we had an article in the New York Times with it because it was something crazy and a bit funny. But this experience led us to other ideas, just to find a way to digitalize every project that we have, to have an online version and some offline version. And I think for films it's also something very interesting, because even though now everything is going back to the normal, this online experience in festival, in viewing film on Netflix at home and so on, will last. And it's also a way to have new public. Now it's every of those platforms like Netflix and so on, they are just competing a lot, so they want to find new project, they want to find something sometimes more creative and so on. And can you show the other website? So for documentary film, I'm producing a film about a strange character in outside of Russia, outside of Moscow. And we decided, because it's like a transition period for this character from a scientist to an artist, to create artworks outside around the film and to sell these artworks. So maybe some of you knows what is NFTs. It's a contract, a digital contract that allow you to create assets that you can exchange and that are valuable. So we decided to finance a part of the film, creating some NFTs that are related to the... can you show the other websites? This is a way to finance the movie, and this is also a way to create a community around it, because when you have these assets that are related to a film, even a documentary film, you create a sense of ownership. So people will follow it, they will talk about it, they will want to have a part of your project. It's like a crowdfunding campaign, but you can resell these assets. So then you can create a long life of your film, and you can put it anywhere. So, for example, this film, we understand it, even though it's a documentary film, we will show it in museums. And we want to create exhibitions around the venue of the films. So, there were another website, but it's not relevant. I will give the word because how many time we have?
We have an hour, 55 minutes.
But now it's
1:05.
1:05.
Yep.
Okay. Can you show the other? There were another website.
Yep, we're working on it.
So yeah, the idea is like now, because there was this COVID time and so on, everything is kind of open, and every person is very open to new way of producing, showing, and writing films, even in documentary films. So we've been talking with a lot of people with this NFT thing, and cinema venues are very open-minded to create exhibitions around film and so on, because the cinema will suffer a lot of this after COVID time, because the biggest studio now are not that eager to show their film, and these cinema venues need to live. And I'm pretty sure that some will try to experience what we experience in festival. So when you go to a film in a festival, you have also a sense of ownership, because you will see a film, but you will meet with the crew of the film. You can talk about it. It will be a part of your history. And now with documentary films, we can also create something like that, just like thinking about other way to create community and to give people another experience than just seeing a film on a cinema and then do something else afterwards. So yeah, it's can you click on NFT? And just a bit scroll down. So yeah, it's a very strange documentary film, and we just create this artwork. So the first artwork it will be an auction next week on an American platform, and we hope that it will work, because it will be the first of this kind of experience with a documentary film. Trying to create that digital art assets around a documentary project. So I think that's all for me. I will give who want to continue.
Since we have an hour, I have some questions for you. How much do you expect the NFT to finance the budget? Like what percentage? Can you imagine it will...
The thing with the NFTs, it's like you can create a contract in it, and you have primary sale, and then you have secondary sales. People, then they resell it. And you can just create a way to, each time that you resell it, the creator owns a percentage of the resale. And what we want to do with that, it's like we create this NFT as a group thing, and each time it will be resold, every person that participated in it will have a part of the resale. So the first sale will permit to finance hopefully a part of the film. But it's an auction, that's why we don't really know how much he will, to what extent he will come. But afterward, all the resale will permit the creators to have something, hopefully.
I mean, COVID or no COVID, that's just a very innovative and exciting way to think about financing film and creating different spaces and audiences for that film. It's interesting that we talk about post-COVID, because I think in some countries and some festivals are still very much thinking in a COVID way. So, you know, there's some festivals that are still online, some that are still hybrid, some that are completely back to offline and are so happy to be doing that. So my experience is that I was a producer for a long time, so I also produced documentary films for a decade. And then I started working for film festivals, and particularly in the industry markets, so co-production markets, development markets. So Pitch the Doc, for example, is a very interesting way to bring your projects forward. And this morning we were talking about, the Documentary Association of Europe and how filmmakers, film producers, and film creators can become part of this global community. And one thing that COVID did do is it, in a way, it created a little bit of a more inclusive space, because everything was online, and so the ability to go to a big film market, which might have cost you thousands of euros, and visa regulations and hotel and just kind of crazy expenses, especially for first-time filmmakers or young production companies. All of a sudden, there was just an ability to attend these markets differently. So while being on Zoom for a year and a half was really depressing and difficult, and we really regretted not seeing our colleagues, well, I met all kinds of new colleagues in the past year and a half that I don't think I would have met otherwise. So even the creation of the Documentary Association of Europe, which was started just before COVID and then grew in COVID, I think maybe grew faster and more strongly because this isolation of filmmakers in their living rooms all over Europe and all over the world, well, they had an ability to just reach each other, thanks to the internet. Of course, there's a privilege in even having a good enough connection for the internet, but that's already sort of one barrier less. So this past year and a half has created this interesting space to discuss film, to share knowledge, share practices. I think lots of projects were able to come to market, which maybe they wouldn't have been able to do so up until COVID. And then I think the other thing that's interesting is, anyways, the financing of documentary films, and I'll bring it back to you two for this part, is that it was already changing and things are already up in the air. National funding is changing in every territory, whether it's North America, Europe, or the rest of the world. Funding agencies are not funding the way they used to. Big streamers like Netflix and all their friends, HBO, and everybody has started changing the way that we finance films. And then we had a year and a half to sit at home and think of new ways to finance our movies. And you came up with NFTs, that's the first time I hear of that, and that's really amazing. So maybe another thing that's been going on in this COVID world and into the post-COVID world is that we'll be thinking about our financing models and our ways of thinking about even developing, producing, and distributing films differently. And maybe I think I've been seeing in the last, before COVID and now in COVID, an acceleration of breaking down old ways of what we thought we had to do to produce our films, or what we even thought we had to do to distribute them properly. And realizing in this moment, and post-COVID really we'll see, that there are many different ways to do it. Just the fact that, for example, maybe 10 years ago, the idea of producing or distributing a film with a museum was not really a thought process for film production companies. And the idea of working with museums has started, I think I heard about it for the first time maybe 4 years ago. And now it's a completely eligible way to think about financing your project. Even thinking about a project in a non-linear way. So it's not just about making a film that you can put in a festival and then in a cinema. Now you can make a film that can be deconstructed to be in an exhibition, to be in a museum, to be online, to be offline, to be like maybe because I've been at home for a year and a half and it's my first time outside and I'm in Kiev, I'm excited about the future, but I've been seeing some kind of phoenix moments, like coming out from the ashes into something new and interesting. So I know, Uldis, you've also been doing some interesting things. You have one there too. We can all share.
It works. Yeah, thank you for introduction. Actually, I share this excitement about being in three-dimensional space, in real space with you all, and thanks, Alex, for inviting. It's my trip also first, after 14 months. And we've been lucky and unlucky because our documentary, I take one case, what we experienced. We worked 5 years with Giedre from Lithuania and it was a French company involved on a co-production. As always, you work on your films for a long time, you develop, you shoot, and then you edit 2 years, and then you try to get money for buying expensive archives. And we've done everything in September. And then it was premiered in Warsaw Film Festival, which was kind of hybrid. And it's like in our documentary world, the life writes the best script. And luckily, Giedre got a diplomatic passport, so she was being able to go without quarantine to many premieres, because we had 4 premieres in 2 months. And this was just at least someone from the crew could travel. And I was happy that she could be there. But it was very kind of strange what she wrote. You have Q&As and you speak with the moderator and the room is empty and it's so hard to behave or to wait answers coming through internet. Of course, the atmosphere is not that as in real world, and I think we all deserve real premieres, but actually not we deserve them as a filmmakers. Our protagonists, our characters, they deserve it. And most of our characters, at least in our films, are people in age, older people. And of course, for them to travel nowadays is very risky. And we always invite them, because I think we go from festival to festival, we do new projects, but for them, the moment we are together, 2 years or 5 years, we become part of their family. And how we can premiere film without them being and coming to the stage, because in their lifetime, entering the stage is something like, to be in La Scala, performing for the big artist. And this we're missing now. It's crazy. It's so crazy. I feel so sad. So we had, it was a planned premiere in Riga in cinema, 30th of November. And just a week before, all the cinemas have been closed, because we expected to invite Simas. He's our character from Lithuania. Not long drive, but okay, no way for that. Giedre also couldn't come. And then in 1 week, I rescheduled everything, because I thought, we had in 2 months, 4 big festivals. It was Rome, Warsaw, in New York City, this big festival. So it was nice lineup. We cannot postpone it for the spring, because when you are on the wheel, when film wheel turns and it's in the press, it's better to go on. And so I organized in 1 week 3 platforms, the 3 big owners of the platforms. It's TED, it's a huge broadcasters, to open the film on Friday when the premiere was expected. And I said, and I planned already, we opened it in 7 o'clock, like a premiere, and those who want, they can buy the TVOD, kind of like a ticket, transmission video on demand, that you pay some amount, because we needed money to recover marketing costs. But then I discovered that it's so complicated. Every platform has a different conditions. Like one platform, all the materials should go to Sweden, then they are uploaded to big server because they are multi-country platform. It became like a nightmare. And then I said, okay, let's have the film at least in the morning the same day. And after next day, we checked how many people bought the TVOD. And it was something like 100 people only. It's very, but they said, it's for documentary, 100 people, because they've been already kind of reserved. Documentary and premiere on the platform where mostly is this commercial showy style thing. They said, you got good results, but of course we know 100 people for the premiere, it's nothing. It's very bad, as we saw in your festival, the packed room. So this was my lesson. If you decide, and if the 3rd or 4th wave will come back, you need to plan it much more in advance, to prepare through social networks your potential audience. Otherwise, it's kind of wasted thing. But it was kind of experiment. And maybe you can roll the first clip In parallel to the platform launch, we made, also I organized in this 1 week that it's a big portal, like news portal, like have a press conference and Q&A. And then, of course, Giedre was in Moscow at the time and Simas in Lithuania, and I was in Riga. So I said, I can be in studio with moderator, and then we connect Giedre from Moscow and Simas from Lithuania. Simas is almost 90 years old. Of course, he don't use Skype or Zoom or anything. Then we said, okay, we just call you. We just call you landline, just to be sure. And I was a little bit worried. And can you roll the first clip?
We're in the process.
Because you can roll it on the background. It will show that we created the studio was very new, and I expected it will be something really big because it's online and it's second most popular portal in Latvia. And there is it's number 1. I numbered them. But okay, I can talk. We can. It's fine. And can you put sound? We kind of warming up Simas, our character, to be ready for real talk on screen. And actually, what's the problem? All the young moderators, they don't understand Russian, but Simas speaks only Lithuanian and Russian, so that was another problem. So, and he tries...
It's very good that you have this optimistic thinking.
And he switched to English without knowing that Simas don't understand much.
No, that.
So you see, and then can you roll please the second one? Because this was like preparation, and this is how it, 1 minute, 2 minutes from this direct broadcast.
Yeah. So basically the same question also which I asked Uldis Giedre. Could you maybe elaborate a bit why Latvian audience should see this film, in your opinion?
I don't know.
So are there any things that maybe we can relate to story of Simas or something?
I get said everybody should see the film on the big screen because you made it for a big screen. That was one of the main messages.
Maybe I'm not a seller. I'm not just going now to say, oh, go watch my. I did my best to make a good movie, and please watch it. One only thing that I can tell is maybe when you started showing this film in Latvia, I started getting messages from people I don't know, like with Latvian
and you see,
names
it's very hard to
Instagram or
to do a talk through internet because you feel a bit uncomfortable. You need to have very good moderator who keeps the speed, and this was kind of, and I think we maybe also lost the audience. Also, the questions should be, I think, more straight, more to the point, because that's you need to be prepared, and internet really demands a very high level of preparation. Like working with kids in the school, you cannot get in prepared, otherwise kids will throw tomatoes on you, because they are very demanding audience. We have so much stuff on internet, and I think this is another responsibility. Premiere in cinema, I think, is much more easier than talking and making Q&A on these portals, because time is money, time is value, yeah. And then we tried to connect Simas later, and then it was technical problem with picture disappeared, and Simas also, he don't see us, so for him to understand the question and to reply without seeing anything was, you see, that was our initial talk, like with someone in spaceship or in dark cosmos. And then the language, okay, thank you, it was just thanks, we can stop it. And this is how it went. And of course, I think we lost a lot of audience because launch and premiere needs to have extreme preparation if you do it online. That's my feeling. Maybe you have different thoughts. We can share about this.
Yeah, it's funny what you show, because we were like promoting some films also all the time on this very strange Zoom things. And at some point, we got lost in this very strange platforms, because you talk a lot about things, and it's very difficult then to explain that the films you are doing are not seen. And on the internet, now we are in a festival, we can talk with each other, we can meet and so on, but on the internet it's very cold, not very great, but you speak about the same thing, but without the humanity in it. But I think it's just a moment that people now are using this tool in another way, and at some point, you know, there were festivals that they try to give you a small character to just move in it, and people were like two small characters talking with each other. That's why new generation are doing a lot on internet, so it's not that strange to use those kind of things.
And just when you talk it, I understood another mistake we made. You know, in internet we don't know who saw the film, who not, because if you're in a premiere, everyone sitting in the room have seen the film. We are emotionally high. We are kind of, you know, it's completely different atmosphere. So if I would do it next time, hopefully not the third way, but we never know, then I would ask and agree with our co-producers and director, let's show 15 minutes at least for the film, not the trailer, because trailer is just teasing, but let's show 15 minutes for the audience before we start the talk and Q&A. And then I think that would be much more efficient, because then, as you said, everyone who is there will stay who likes it. That's first. They would see how our cinemas performs. They have emotionally at least some kind of connections. And according to rules, if you do a dramaturgy in the film, you need to get in the first 10 minutes the character's explosion, right? You need to get the right context. So everyone, just the opening of the film. And I don't think it's a big problem to lose later film sales, maybe even opposite. So I think that's for you also. If you do it, don't be afraid. In internet, show 15 minutes of your film, and so it could work. What do you think? Because you have the festival.
Yeah.
You're a professional in this field.
Well, we did an interesting experiment as well. So the festival I work for is RIDM. I worked for them, in festival in Montreal. And normally it's a 10-day festival, you know, and there's 2, 3, well, actually more like 10 films a day at 6 p.m. or 10 p.m., whatever. Obviously online that was a different story. So we started thinking about how we could engage the audience to come back. So instead of saying, okay, 14th of November, 130 films are available, come see 130 films. Yeah, exactly. So what we did, and I have to say the artistic team was really amazing in that sense, is that we created sections, and they were thematic sections. And for 3 weeks, for every week, 6 different thematic sections would come out. And we gave them exciting names, and we wrote synopses about these themes and sections. And so it was a lot of work for the communications team, but that's what we did. November 14, you have the ability to see 6 sections that cover the environment, love, loss. You know, just we used keywords, and people could buy the section. So they could say to their friend or, you know, family member in COVID, let's sit at home and watch 6 documentaries about love. And you know, we knew that we had an audience of people who love RIDM and the kind of films that we show, so we knew they would be curious. But by giving them something to attach themselves to, we felt like they would come back, and that really worked well. So the first week we had 7 sections, the following week a whole new set of films with 7 more sections, and the last week another set of films in sections. So the films were only available for 1 week each. But that was much more manageable for the press to talk about and you know, to make articles about, and it was much more manageable for the audience to just give, instead of drowning in 130 films, to give the options to watch 7, and if they really loved this little section they had seen, they could add on to it and add on to it. The other thing that's interesting is that we dramatically lowered our prices. Like the price point, you know, as individual ticket is $10. In this case, we made a section $15. So instead of 1 film for 10, you were getting up to 10 films for $15. And I think that's kind of the price point of the internet in a way.
It's a good point about prices, because we had the first price, the premiere price, and TVOD was, I think, €6, which is not much. But for the platform, they said, oh, for documentary, €6, you're crazy. We do a fiction film from Hollywood with the same. No, but I said, this is a premiere, very special. And then in 1 week, we lowered it because we saw it's not going well. We lowered it to $350 something. And you know, nothing changed. And then someone else said me, the price doesn't matter. Matter how you promote it, because if people want, they will see, and if they see it goes cheaper, they think your film is bad. Because it's easier to sell with, but it depends from the strategy, because if you sell package like Netflix style or Spotify, this kind of abonnement or something like that, yeah, that you can get more with one price, it's a different game. So it's also, pricing is really game.
It's a different game, but maybe that's, you know, something to discuss too. I mean, in terms of a festival or the kinds of films that you make and that we promote, they're maybe not meant to be in a huge, you know, abonnement subscription of hundreds of films. Maybe yes, in 2-3 years from when they've first been made, but when we just made them, they're independent films. In the context of a festival or even online, it's to be festive. We want, you know, we want to create atmosphere around it for the filmmakers to like, again, you know, filmmakers and the protagonists to feel like they're having beautiful premieres, for the audience to feel cared for. And that's the beauty of a festival context and, you know, sort of the promotion and the initial distribution of your film.
Yeah. No, that's true. And then how we continue to survive, because we are a small company in small studio. Maybe can you roll the clip number 3 in the background? Because we're renting a company space on the upper floor of very old building, 100 years old building, and we have a cellar. And we discovered that the cellar is kind of, it's warm enough, it's not wet. And so this is in the cellar. I invited the one puppet animator. And you know, puppets, it's a real animation world, which you shoot on with DOP, with the cameraman. So we created our own bubble. And over the COVID time, from last June, we made 26-minute real puppet animation. But of course, we've been lucky. We had this project in development before COVID started. And we've been really lucky in case to create this little studio downstairs. And those guys could work in 3-people team in their own bubble without any stop. Even we had the second wave very bad, and everything, there have been a lot of restrictions, etc. So this is, and this is like working material. We need to finish film in 1 month, and I think that's another idea. And I am just not afraid to share it, because, you know, world is now overwhelmed with this in India made or Japan, this computer CGI animated stuff. I have kids and I don't like they see it. I think puppet animation, something real, with mistakes, with failures, with scratches. This is the world how we live. And also kids, I think they can repeat, they can build their own puppets. I think this time is coming back to give a value for the real things. And first sign is that, how many of you are using vinyl again? You see? Not so many, but 2 or 4. So if vinyl comes back, so why not the puppets come back? And puppets for us as documentary filmmakers, it's a tool to shoot, to put the lights. You know, we can really work with our crew, reorganize them, make some fun, and use our documentary skills. And maybe you can show clip number 5. No, 4. 4. Sorry, 4. It's a teaser, but I will tell you why I'm showing it. Because it's about, a subject is about dating. And this is the most crazy thing during the COVID, how you can date without kissing or kind of approaching closer. And we had a project in mind. It's still under development, but let's see the teaser and I'll comment shortly where we can find advantages in co-production world. It's number 4.
노래만 잘하면 뭐래? 진짜 농촌에 시집 오면 오지도 않을 것 가지고.
사실 우리가 투집을 걸자는 건 아니지만 털어놓고 말해서 동무들이 농촌에 시집 오라면 오겠어?
그러기 말이야.
올 수도 있지요. 하지만 농장 청년들이 모두가 동 같은 사람이라면 안 오겠어요.
안녕하세요. 저는 한유진이라고 합니다. 저는 두 아이를 키우면서 그 남남북녀라는 새터민 결혼정보회사를 운영하고 있습니다. 회사는 경기도 광명에 있고요. 남쪽 남성과 북쪽 여성의 인연을 맺어주는 일을 하고 있는 매칭 매니저입니다. 그리고 매칭은 이제 서로 이제 이상형을 찾아서 서로 이제 매칭을 해주는데. 남쪽에 계시는 분들이 북한분을 볼 때 처음엔 무섭다. 이제 사상 교육을 많이 받기 때문에 무섭다. 그리고 이제 다 그 뒤로는 이제 억셀 것 같다, 셀 것 같다 이런, 드셀 것 같다 이런 얘기를 많이 하시고. 또 한국의 남성분들은 북한 여성의 이렇게 뭐나 잘하는, 음식도 잘하고 아이도 잘 키우고 그리고 부모님한테도 잘하는 그런 거에 되게 많은 매력을 느끼는 것 같아요. 이제 시타민 분들 같은 경우에는 이제 학력이 고졸 정도 되시거든요. 이제 대졸이신 분들이 가끔 계시는데 눈이 굉장히 높아요. 높아봤자 뭐 눈썹 아래니까. 안녕하세요. 안녕하세요. 앉으세요. 마지막 연애 언제 해보셨나요?
마지막 연애요?
좀 되셨겠네요?
네.
네.
Okay, I was showing this in full length as a teaser because we started to work on this project 3 years ago, and 2 years ago we went to Seoul and filmed initial shots, which will be in the film. And as you saw, there's an office as a location, then another place where what our Eugene created a special shelter for North Korean women to kind of adapt to the situations and to be in a good mood despite all the situations they should go through after they fly into South Korea. So, but now already the office probably will be sold in 2 years. The shelter looks completely different. Time is going. We cannot stop production because we cannot enter Korea as they develop their own vaccine. We cannot sit 2 weeks in quarantine. And this is, we managed to get a co-producer from South Korea. So in this regard, I can say co-production really saved our film because Gary is now already filming there, but in Korea everything costs like triple much. It's very expensive. Crew, cameraman, DOP, we expect to do ourselves. But it's good that it's Latvian, Norwegian, Korean co-production. And so we got first development money in Norway, and it's very good that it was Norway, not Germany, because in Norway you can use this money for the production. I think it's more than 50% you can use whenever you need. In Latvia we can use only 20% of money abroad. In Germany I think 100% you need to use in Germany. So please, if you do a productions, and you know COVID waves will come, it's a strategic question. Find the co-producers who get funds and who are able to share the money that production doesn't stop, because of course we are losing. I would love to have the money spent with our DOP, our equipment, etc., but But to keep the production going, now all the money goes to Korea. So this is another lesson from this COVID time that sometimes you say, oh, co-production makes things complicated, different cultures, it's good and bad stuff, but here it was all plus, 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 plus. So that's one case I wanted, share.
Yeah, and the idea with that is also because you cannot move and you have to work, you need to find new ways of storytelling because a lot of things you cannot do them. We did a project about soldiers all over the world, and all the interviews are made by Skype. And the thing that the COVID was a problem to meet with these soldiers all over the world, give us the opportunity to think it another way, and to find them not through like real army, but through Instagram. And then the project was not about soldiers, but it was about soldiers showing themselves on Instagram. So this kind of restriction gave us the opportunity to talk about something else. And because we couldn't film them at home, we started to do a 3D environment. And when they tell about their stories, you have these two people, like 3D soldiers, that are acting about what they are talking about. And so, yeah, it's just like you have a lot of tools now, and it's not even, I think in few years there will not be this kind of very problematic distinction between fiction and documentary, between real shootings and 3D shootings, between animation and so on. So now it's blurred, and films are not only documentary or fiction, but they are films with a new kind of storytelling, and that's something I think pretty good. And it was accelerated by COVID time.
That's great. Again, these are things that were on their way to happen, and then COVID just accelerated the movement. I like to hear that. To add to what you were saying about co-producers, and I mean, that's something that should have happened a long time ago. I think you're right, for in the industry as we knew it pre-COVID, co-production seemed like difficult. Sharing your budget with the country you're going seemed complicated. You know, it just didn't, there was no need to go into those complications, let's say, as producers. But the truth is, why you should share, you know, if you're filming in a country that isn't your own, or you should be working with local crews, you should be sharing that wealth, you should get their expertise. They know the landscape, they know that, you know, so it's forcing that in a way, COVID forcing that hand is great because that's the standard it should have been already. So that's amazing to know that from now on, no institution can stop you and say, no, you should all spend your money here. You can say, well, I can't, it's not possible anymore, so let's change that.
But I hope it should change, because I think it's too drastical if you limit. Of course, you need to have at least 50-60%, but you need to keep this flexibility and trust to each other. And I think we in documentary learned it's all about sharing trust, first of all, because that's what our protagonists give to us. We often have this problem, and we always say, we are not the journalists, don't worry, it will be not tomorrow on air. We work 2 years, and then we will go to premiere together, but it's a process. We know what's about documentary filmmaking. And you mentioned fiction, and we, besides animation, we also made our low-budget fiction in last year. But again, we've been prepared. So preparation, this is first. Someone saying, you are lucky. But you know, luck comes if you are prepared. So work on the scripts, do the animation script, work on the fiction, because everything is a film, good film, right? Big festivals also, they are not kind of gendered. Animation, documentary, fiction, I think good film is a good film. And it was also, in a way, saved us, because those who know, it's 80,000 euro to make a feature-length 90 minutes. We reduced it for 17 shooting days. Only half have been paid, but it was really big fun. It was November, we lived in our own bubble. It was again COVID time, but our DOP could work. We got some industry people work, because they all been keen to do something. So I managed to get really low, it's a very bad word, not low prices, but friendly prices. And it was actually November. It was 4 degrees, it was very remote location. You need to walk through the swampy spot. And our editor, who was on the spot, he only had a Jeep. So he was not looking on the screen, but always saving some car from the drowning, and his car was dirty, so he became a kind of tractor man instead of. But this united us, and we had another guy, our friends who made making of. Instead of being on set for 3 days, they stayed all 17 days because they said it's a film behind the film here. It all goes so crazy. And now we have making of almost the same length as the feature. It's 80 minutes. We are editing it with our own resource, so that's another learning from COVID time. So we got a documentary people doing their job. We made our fiction with some big fun moment, and you can see it on the screen. It's this because it's temporary story. That's I heard from some festival programmers. If you go to fiction, do contemporary stories. Don't do the costume films or Middle Ages because it's expensive. And as I know, festivals want stories for nowadays. So you can use the real background, as your set. So it's easy. And at the ending, I want to show another thing. I have this trailer for this fiction, just to feel how it looks. Do we have time? It's 2 minutes.
We have 5 minutes left.
Just to see how documentary people go to fiction, because, of course, we use all the elements that fiction needs. Maybe we can roll clip number 5. Yeah, teaser. It's our teaser.
Sveicināts montāžists, sveicināts mārketinga dāmas un Eva. Es zinu, ka tu tur esi. Jūs redzat šo video, visticamākais mēs esam miruši.
Kamēr brauksiet senlai, krastā nekā. Nekādas telpas, nekādu ugunskura. Un tu nākamreiz cieties. Dabā jāmīž ar cieņu.
Tas vispār nav apspriežams. Kā ūdenī, tā visiem vestas un ķivers galvā.
Tu arī droči ir prezi?
Pasaka, vai svešos neredzējām?
Tu nedzirdēji, dodies uz to pusi! Varbūt viņi tur no tevis slēpjas. Ko?
Atrada viņu pliku pie upes sēžam. Viņam tā zem ūdens atnākusi. Sievietes balss.
And I will tell you to the director, because you see, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, that's another game we never used in documentaries, so that's we're learning. And it's really fun. I'm newcomer with animation and with fiction, so this year we cover everything. And I know it's dangerous, but with low budget you don't have much responsibilities, which is good. You just work with you. Let's see, this will be kind of experiment. And as a last thing, to survive, because of course we invested in this film already, I think 25,000 plus all the equipment. It's big loss. In documentaries we all invest, that we know. So how we earn the money? We do some television work, that's how some programs, original formats, and then we do sometimes adverts or let's say more image films. And now we have a ice hockey championship, and we won the competition with our script to do the promo video, and it's an advert, so the budget was really adequate. All the equipment, everything is covered. But we made it in the way how we documentary people see the world, and a little bit to, I think, without fun there is no need to make adverts because world is full. Can we roll clip number 5?
I'm afraid
it's just 90 seconds.
Okay.
And then at the very end I show 10 seconds because it's
yeah,
connected.
I'm afraid we have 1 minute left. And
But
we
okay,
have
no,
to
then
wrap
we
up.
can talk and not show it. I think we can end here. It's fine.
Yeah, I'm sorry to
Yeah,
mess you.
fine.
Okay.
We ask questions.
I think it's good to end on this positive note that in COVID you made animation, fiction, NFTs, non-linear fiction online, whole new way of seeing festivals. Yeah, the world became so chaotic that we created a lot of new things. It's nice.
Thank you very much for this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we without there? Can we show it? I made it specially for you to make some fun because it's or we need to leave the room.
We have 10 minutes before next speaker, so yeah. Thank you very much.